All right, guys, we're going to do Sojourn Prequel from CrossGen Comics. This is a book from 2001. I like CrossGen a lot. I was a bit sad that they, that it went out of business or taking over by, I don't know, Marvel, I guess. And they did nothing with them. They put it in a vault, never looked back. Soldier was fun. I mean, the CrossGen universe was very fun. A lot of high-end creators worked on this book. You can see Ron Marz, Greg Land, and a lot of other people that I'm going to show you a little bit later here. I have only a couple of CrossGen titles, not much, but what I had and have, I really enjoyed it. So it would be fun that we are going to do this. So because I'm not familiar with Sojourn, or I know that's a fantasy Lord of the Rings like book, with monsters. The main thing of this whole CrossGen title is the sigil. The sigil always comes back in these titles. It has meaning, it has power for good or for bad. It was a very interesting premise. So without further ado, let's dive in and see if it is actually fun. Yeah. So we begin here. Oh, wait a minute. No, a little bit too soon. Evil spread itself across the world of Quinn. The warlord Mordath put the five lands to the torch and sword, conquering nearly all of Quinn. But a mysterious warrior appeared and fought the victims of Mordath's tyranny into an army of power enough to challenge him. Now Mordath is besieged in his castle, but any animal is at its most dangerous when cornered. All right. So the art is done by Greg Land. Now, Greg Land, when he first appeared, I said, wow, that looks great. But then it's been revealed that he is basically the king of tracing. So what is tracing? Well, imagine if you have a photo of a bikini model, right? Or from a certain adult site. Greg Land is basically drawing over that picture or photo and creating stuff like this, right? And I'm pretty sure this is traced as well. It's very, for me, it's very hard to read or to see what did he draw himself and what is traced. So since he's been called out for tracing, but people still hire him because, although he's tracing, his art looks still good, if you can call it that, although, the tracing is cheating, right? Because it's a shortcut. And I don't mind if people trace once in a while, but he does it all the time. That's why you always see similar poses, similar facial expressions, because he just puts another face on it, another clothes, and it's a new character, but with the same pose as, for example, here. All right. So that's my little bit of a rant here. Well, it's not really a rant, more like a clarification. You can Google it, Greg Land tracing. You get a lot of articles. So enjoy with that. But we're gonna continue what's happening here. So basically, Lord Mordath wants to know who is hunting him, who is driving him back to his castle, who is the one that wants to kill him. And he has this guy here, and this guy says, "Well, I'm not gonna talk." Right, and he's basically he's losing his cool. He says, "Who is he? Who is he? He is the one who's going to destroy you." But Mordath has some anger problems, and he takes him out. And he is. I like the facial expressions. Again, I don't know if it's all traced or not, or if it's really art. It's really hard to know. But yeah, this guy's done. And. So he says to his, guards called Mach, said, "What of the siege? Any change? No, Lord Mordath, our enemies continues to throw themselves at our walls. We continue to repel them for now. How pitiful we have become," he says. "Once the five lands shook with our advances, now we hide behind walls. Come along, we'll see what we see." Well, he says, this could be better. Again, great. I don't like all the tracing, but I must admit his work looks good. I shouldn't like it, but I am. So it's very visually appealing. It's definitely better than what what they put out now. But let's not go into that. For instance, this pose you see a lot. By the way, this pose you see a lot. This facial expression. But hey, moving on. He says, "How many? 15,000 lords, maybe more. Reinforcements right by the hour. They smell blood. I would too. So close." He says, "And so far beyond my reach, I nearly put all 5 lands under my heels separately. None of them was my equal. Then he appeared as if he stepped out of a myth and forged the ragged survivors into an army my forces cannot stand against. He's run me to the ground like a wounded animal. I don't even know his name. He is out there somewhere now that the end is close. Looking stone," he says. So he's looking into, well, the stone, but he doesn't know who he is. We cannot clearly see. "Go fetch my blade. They breach us soon. I want to be ready." So I like it that this guy is not really useless and fearful, or cowardly. He's just, even though he's a cruel person, he still wants to fight back, right? So the wall has been breached. Well, sort of. I mean, the siege going on, and this guy says, "A king's ransom to the man who takes the Mordath's head," and he's getting his head cut off. "Come to me, all of you. This fortress will not fall while I yet draw breath." I mean, I like that. It's somewhat, a behavior of a hero, although, well, this is more like a defiance, right? Looks great. But then he's getting stabbed by a spear. And so this winged man comes in and he says, "Your armies came to our lands and burned my people out of the areas. You hunted us for sport. My people have a saying, vengeance flies on swift wings," but then he gets a spear in his chest as well. "I too have a saying, death isn't finicky, but its appetite must always be sated." So then this guy comes in, getting stabbed by, I don't know, his general, I guess. And he says, "Are you well? I live, Mark, for now. The battle, poor. They break our lines, spill our overall walls. We fight valiantly, but their numbers are overwhelming." And then this guy is saying, "Hey, it's time," and he draws a bow, or an arrow with his bow, and the siege is going and going. And again, yes, it really reminds me of Lord of the Rings and other fantasies TV series, House of the Dragon and everything that came before, etc. I like that. So he says, "Hey, let's go back into to our fortress, to the central, because they cannot, as long as the walls are not breached, they cannot do anything, right? We are at our strongest." But I don't know, not really. Okay, now I have to say something. A couple of issues back, I believe yesterday. Let me see, where is it? Yes, I complained about transparent. Is that how you call it? Sound effects. I had my complaints about it. I didn't like that, and I never understood it. Still don't. But if it's just smaller, like here, instead of a splash page, what they are doing, and then throw that invisible. It's not invisible, but the transparent sound effect through the whole book. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. But I take that a little bit back because it works if it's smaller, right? Still, I wish we have more like the non-transparent sound effect, but it's not that bad, It really depends what the art and the background look like. I mean, if there's the same, let's all yellow, and then you put this over it, you barely see then the sound effect. But since there is a couple of different color shades in here, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. Not a big fan, still really like stuff like this. But again, I just wanted to have it pointed out. It's more personal opinion, but I want to get back to it, a little bit here. So he's the only one surviving, I guess. So, but he still stands, and he says it. "I still stand, and while I stand, the day is not yet yours. Face me. Show yourself." But then this guy, whoever it is, comes to him, and he says, "Mordath, I call myself Aiden." Right. "You're the one who's done this to me. If you ask where I am here to he who has helped bring about your defeat, yes. Probably you can only say yes instead of this whole. But anyway, so he says, I expected someone more regal. So says, why don't you come and get me? So, but the other says, let me slay him, my lord. Let us cut down his throat. He says, halt. Enough blood has been spilled. Uh-oh. So he's, confronting him. And he says, your time is at hand. It's as if you did not exist before. You moved against me. And where did you come from? He just not going into that. He says, I came from this place to remove myself from strife, to be at peace. I had no desire to involve myself in this conflict, but you left me no choice. You forced me to do that which I found most repugnant. Choose sides. My army is victorious, while yours is no more. Conclude this while you yet live. All right, so basically he says, I'm not going to surrender, right? Unfortunately, but not expected. So he turns his back on him, and he doesn't like that at all. You dare give me your back. And so he attacks him. He turns around and shoots an arrow in his chest. Again, looks cool. I like the colors, by the way. The color is really nice. Who's doing the color work? I have to know. Does it say it here? Maybe one of these guys. Probably. Does it say it here? No, probably maybe at the end. Who knows? Anyway, but the deep red and the deep blacks with the gold and the silver really pops. Really well, nice done. And he says, who are you? Tell me that much. A king who wishes to be king no longer. Just answer him. Then hear me, king no longer. With my last breath, I swear vengeance upon you and the five lands. And then he dies. Pulls out his arrow. So, and then the people say, yay, victorious, rejoice, and all that stuff. Mordath is no more. Hail Aiden. So, and then these people from 5 different lands come forward and they say, we can never repay the debt we owe you. You snuffed out Mordath's evil so that the 5 lands and all its people might be free again. And all the while you remained a mystery to us, Aiden. Let us know you better. You led us to victory in war. Now lead us in peace. Be sovereign over all our 5 lands. And so basically say, we need you. But then he declines. You honor me, but I must decline. He says, I have led before my reign spawned division and destruction. I have seen those I consider my children tear at one another's throats like animals. I no longer wish to be involved in such conflicts. So he says, much has to be done. You need to be healed, but you have to do that on your own. But then he says, but I would not abandon you if your need is great. I can be summoned. Are you a wizard? This brought death to Mordath. Let it be broken into 5 fragments and scattered lost across the lands. Well, so he says, these shall be your tools to rouse me. There are all 5 lands themselves. Separately, there are mere pieces, but joined in a single persons, they accomplish much. If a threat dire enough to unite the 5 lands arise, I will return to you. Now, okay, dude, this is not... What is this, Dragon Ball Z? When the Dragon Balls are scattered across the universe? What if one of the lands or a couple of the lands are in peril, right? War breaking out or I don't know what. And they cannot find these pieces. What then? Why don't you just, I don't know, give each piece to one of those, people from the land and just they bury it somewhere, or in a vault or in a kingdom, where people can just get it when the needs arise, right? Why just, hey, you have to search for it. It's going to take you 200 years probably. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, he says, basically he says, I have no desire to be, in further conflict with everyone else. So I must bid you farewell. Then leave with our thanks, Lord. Should you ever think to consider, we are your servants. So this woman says, wait, Aiden, who are you? Truly. So I think, okay, finally he's going to say it. In truth, I've been in many things. Dude, just say it. But now I simply want to be alone. Just say it, dude. And that I like that they are still, although he's just walking away on his horse. Is that how you say walking? It's not walking away. On his horse going away, and they still like, yeah. I like that. It's a sign of respect. I really like that. But now, I don't know, 300 years later, some guys in hoodies and glowing hearts, eyes, wants to bring back this madman, and they are, cursing him probably, or giving him the sigil that does something. But one of these says he could become a difficulty in the greater scheme. Please reconsider. Mordath threw this world into conflict when he lived. He'll do the same when he's brought back. So he's gonna rise again. And then basically, I'm gonna show you a couple of pages here into the next issues, well, from number 1. So this is a prequel. Then I'm gonna show you without text. It's just, the art. And like I said, looks good, right? So you can read this if you want. You can pause the video. And then we see a couple of pages for issue number 1 that we're gonna take a look at. And the hero of this story is this woman. What's her name? I just read it here. Arwen. All right. So she's basically a good guy, a good girl, right? Yeah, looks good. I like the hair. I like the lines in it. I like the detail. It's really well done. So yeah. And we have some sketches here. Krieg, Arwen, early, Gareth and Eden and Mordath. So, see a ranger? Probably. Probably a lot of inspiration from Lord of the Rings, who knows. I have the first, need to read that still. I have Mystic, this is one that was great with Brandon Peterson. Sigil I don't have Crux, Scion and Meridian, so I need to take that, need to get those as well. And as you can see, a lot of great creators, except for Mark Waid. He's a terrible person, especially what he said about, the things what happened at the Trump rally, I believe. He's a despicable human being. But everybody else, Brandon Peterson, cool, Bart Sears, George Perez, God rest his soul. I'm not a religious man, but still. Jim Chung, what happened to him? Steve Epting, he's still doing work for Marvel, I guess. Greg Land, Paul Pelletier, for them saying correctly. He's, I feel a little bit bad for Paul. He is always coming in when the book is closing, or how do you say, that they don't continue the series anymore, and he's just doing a couple of pages here and there. Ron Marz, he's doing some indie stuff, or maybe some private work. I don't know, Scott Eaton and Butch guys, only from name, right? So I wonder what these guys are doing, right? But yeah, CrossGen. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Did you read CrossGen? Yeah, do you want to see more? Leave a comment below, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I see you next time with Sojourn number 1. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.